Chantal Dusters with Inside the Masterminds, and today I have the pleasure of sitting down with Jimmy Goulart, a realtor born and raised in San Diego. And how are you, Jimmy?
Good, Chantal. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate the opportunity.
I didn't butcher your name.
No, you got it right.
Mine's hard, but then I hear other ones, and sometimes I'm like, wait, how do I pronounce that? So I see what people do when they're in the shoes of pronouncing Chantal Dusters. It's hard.
Yeah, you're like, I don't want to take that on, so I'll just call you Chantal.
Okay, perfect. You can call me C, Shawnee. I get every nickname, so it's fine. So today, Jimmy, I really want to talk to you about, how you got into real estate. I know something very rare about you is you're born and raised in San Diego, which I am as well, but that's hard to come by.
Where'd you grow up at?
I grew up in North County in Vista.
Oh, okay, great, yeah.
So I make the trek to San Diego for work, but I'm kind of used to it. It's not too bad.
Right.
What about you? Where were you?
Well, I was, born and raised in East County.
Okay.
And then, sort of moved to the beach and then up North County and stuff like that. But
all over.
All over, yeah. Like I do business all over. It's pretty easy. I've been here, my whole life, and I just do real estate wherever.
So I want to talk to you about that, and today is really about you and how you got into real estate, the why behind it. I know you and I have spoken. You kind of had a different career path and then got into real estate, which is very interesting to me. So how did you get into real estate?
Well, I got into real estate sort of backwards. Like I was a general contractor, and I always did bathrooms and kitchen remodels and things like that. And then I decided to start flipping properties, and that was great from like 2000 to 2006. And then in 2006, wasn't so good. There wasn't a lot of inventory and things like that. So I always liked real estate, and I was doing real estate, obviously. And so got my license, started doing real estate. First deal I did was like a $1.8 million house. I'm like, hey, this is really easy, But then, that whole crash happened, and during the crash, I went back sort of to flipping, and I bought houses at first trusted auction. Raised your hand and bought houses at, for cash. So that was a lot of fun, but that was short-lived too. Once the herd got there, it's pretty much over.
Once the secret was out.
Right. So, but now what I do is I use all that experience of being a general contractor, being a flipper. When I was a flipper, I would go and walk through my open houses, and I would listen to what people wanted, or if I didn't change that light, or they would point out things. So I really saw what buyers really wanted in a house, and I use that experience now. So I help my sellers doing a walkthrough with them, showing the things that they need to fix up or change or do before the buyer sees it and calls it out. So I try to help my sellers really get the biggest, return on investment, and also, sell it for the highest price possible and very fast.
I would think having that experience in flipping and in construction really gives you, a step ahead of a lot of realtors, because you have done the dirty work on it. So if someone comes in and someone says, oh, you just need to do this, or whether it's an inspection or a contractor giving a bid, you really know what's going on. So no one could trick you.
No, yeah. I mean, I look at houses differently. Even with my buyers, I'll walk through a house and I'm like, you don't want this. Like there's some problems here, there's some issues. And they're like, really? I'm like, yeah, really. Let's just move on.
That's very refreshing, because I think, in any industry, there's good and bad.
Right.
It doesn't matter, realtor, attorney, there's good and bad. But it's really nice to hear that, because I think there's a lot of realtors that just want a quick commission. And, they're looking more about their pockets rather than the betterment of their clients. And it's scary, because when it's something that you're not aware of, you're entrusting in these people to help you make these decisions, which, in my opinion, purchasing a home or selling a home is huge. The memories that are there. And
in every house is unique, and buyers are looking for different things than sellers are. And you're right. Like it's just there's a lot of stress involved, can be, because there's all those unknowns. People don't know what they don't know, and they go into this, and you're an attorney, and I'm sure, you could do your own sale if you wanted to, but
I wouldn't. I probably wouldn't.
you want to work with a professional that sees all the pitfalls and things before, and knows how to do it.
Absolutely. So, speaking of that, and you know, representing clients. Now, I understand that you represent buyers and sellers, correct?
Yes.
Do you have one that you prefer? One that just happens to be the bulk of your business? And tell me the reasons why.
You know what? It's really 50-50,
Okay.
and I sort of like it that way because traditionally, sellers are buyers as well. You know, they need to sell their house to buy a new house, and so it's usually 50-50. But you know, bulk of my business is referrals, and I've been doing this for a long time, and so it's always just past clients and then referrals from those past clients. So I'm pretty fortunate that you know, I would say about 90% of my business is referral based.
Wow, that's very impressive when you get to that level, and you know, you just have those constant referrals coming in from previous clients or people who know you. It says a lot. Now, I understand too that 2018 was your record year.
Yeah, I had a really good year in 2018, and you know, I'm very thankful for, you know, my clients. You know, they just came to me and I helped them out, and you know, I've really been reflecting on my year and, you know, what made it a record year, what did I do. And I've been, you know, talking to different people about the process and things that I do to get houses sold or to get buyers into escrow, and just really reflecting on, you know, the different things that I do to get it done.
And what do you attribute the success for 2018? I mean, I understand referrals are a huge part of it, but you're obviously doing something proper if you're getting these referrals and you're having a successful year. Has there been anything that you're able to pinpoint that you've done differently? Is it the market? Is it just the clientele? What do you attribute last year's success to?
Well, I mean, that's a great question, and I really try to reflect and look at every property as unique and special, because that's unique and special to, you know, the homeowner or whatever. And so I really try to listen to, you know, their needs and wants and what they're looking for, because sometimes it's the highest price, sometimes it's ease of sale, or, you know, I need to sell it very quick. So I really just try to sit down with my buyers and sellers, listen to what they are really looking for and what they want to accomplish, and then really come up with a strategy to accomplish that. And you know, everyone does the same old things, but I do them in a sequence to make sure that it's done correctly.
Okay, and you touched on 2006 and 2008 being kind of like a little bit of a rough year. I think for a lot of realtors with what happened to the market, it was. So obviously throughout your career, we're here now in 2019, you've had to overcome some adversity. And I want to know probably what would be your biggest failure, or not necessarily a failure, but challenge that you had to overcome to get to where you are today. Because I think there's a lot of people who would just give up and say, you know what, real estate's not for me. 2008 hit or 2006, let me hop to the next career that's booming. And then, you know, unfortunately, the way of the world is that when that market stops, then somebody has to jump to the next one, unless you're strong enough to kind of push through that adversity. So what would you say was the most challenging time for you?
Well, I think, you know, 2008 in the crash was probably, you know, the hardest thing, because everyone, it was definitely a shift, and it was like going off a cliff. Like no one really knew what was going to happen, and you know, I was just fortunate that I've built my relationships with my clientele, and you know, when they had to do a short sale or whatever, they would come to me and just talk to me, and I'm just really honest and upfront, and I just tell them how it is, and you know, like I said, the first house I ever sold was a $1.8 million house.
That's a great start.
It's a great start, and you know, it's a funny story, because I told the guy, do not buy that house.
Okay.
I said, you don't want to buy this house because of these reasons. It was the best house on the block. It was a $1.8 million house, and it was surrounded by townhomes and condos and a huge apartment building, you know, in front of it. And I said, do not buy this. Like, you're buying at the peak of the market. Like, I'll find you a better place. Like, please don't buy it. I mean, I was begging him. Him and his dad, we were sitting in front of the inspection, and he was saying, oh, I love it. And I'm like, I didn't want to burst his bubble. I had to tell him what I thought.
Right.
And he bought it anyways. And like, you know, a few years later, he comes to me, he's like, Jimmy, what do I do? And I'm like,
I told you.
I know, but I mean, I said, hey, you just got to really take your first loss as your best loss. Let's just sell it right now or whatever. And he's like, no, I can't do it, and I don't want to do it. And eventually, he had to short sell his house. And it's just but having those tough conversations, I mean, that was the biggest thing for me is just to handle those tough conversations just upfront and honest. And I like to put all the cards on the table, and then come up with the best solution for you.
I think the honesty and the transparency in the beginning, even though it didn't fare well for him, it brought him back to you, which says a lot about your clientele.
Well, and he even says to this day, I mean, I'm friends with him. He sees me. He's like, Jimmy, you told me. And that's all I could do is just be honest with him and tell him what I think. I'm sure, like in your business as well, like, I mean, you have to tell people like the law, but you also have to tell them, hey, like, this is
not the best idea.
Right.
Constantly. So, and I as well think transparency is the best thing you could do, even if they don't agree with you. At least you put your cards on the table. So, well, as we wrap up today, Jimmy, I just want to know how you're going into 2019. I bet it'll be an even better year for you and your new record year.
Yeah. So 2018 was a great year, and then I believe 2019, just with all the strategies that I've employed in the systems, it's really going to help my clients get the highest price for their house, and then also with buying a house also can get the lowest price off the sales price. And in 2018, I think I was like 105% of asking price for my sellers, which is great. But the thing I'm most proud of is in that same year, I got 87% of asking price for my buyers as well.
That's incredible.
So it's both ways.
That's incredible. Well, for all the viewers, how can they reach you if they just want to talk to you, pick your brain a little, hire you? What's the best way to reach you?
Best way to reach me, honestly, is old-fashioned. Just give me a call, 619-994-5464. Or text me, and I'll get a hold of you. And I just want to sit down, have a conversation with you, and see what your needs and wants are, and listen to what you have going on, and hopefully I can help you out with that. So that's the best way, really.
Great. Thank you so much for being here today. I know it was short and you have a wealth of knowledge, but at least that gives viewers a little basis on what they need to know and what you can offer them.
Well, thank you so much. You made it so easy.
Oh, good. I'm glad. I know sometimes it could be difficult, but when you're talking about what you love, it's much easier.
Yeah, I'm passionate about real estate. I'm sure you're passionate about what you do.
Yes.
And I just like helping people, and it's easy.
Well, thank you so much,
Thank
and
you.
have a wonderful weekend.
You too.
Thank you.